We're going to now move on to our next case study, which again is a social enterprise, charitable social enterprise, creating opportunities for the young people that it's supporting in a completely new and different way. And I'm going to hand over to you, Mark, to share some of the learning from your experience.
Thanks, Jonathan, and thanks again for allowing me to come along and share some of the learning that we have. As you can see, we're at Kibble looking to change lives through football, and as you mentioned earlier, this really is an apt morning to be talking about football given the exciting events from last night. But as I did say, coming from a Scottish football perspective, it is absolutely amazing that England are now in the final, but probably that's the last time I'll mention this, rather than watch when I see it all the time on the TV over the next couple of days, but hopefully England do go on to win this. So I'll just briefly give you a bit about Kibble for people that don't know Kibble. Kibble's been around since 1859 as a children's charity in Scotland. It's one of Scotland's oldest and one of the largest residential care charities. As you can see, we look after young people that are at risk, using therapeutic and trauma-informed approach to provide education for the young people in our care. You see 700 staff, 10 core services, 24 children's houses of varying size, from one bedroom single placement houses to 6 bedroom and amongst a campus environment. And importantly, everything we do is about relationships. Each child dedicated and consistent key worker to make sure that that care and support is right. Again, just who we support. As mentioned earlier, but children experience multiple placement breakdowns. All of the kids that Kibble are looking after have experienced that. An average young person at Kibble is around 13 years old, and I think when we look at it, most recently has something between 11 and 12 placement breakdowns throughout their life. So when Kibble is eventually looking after them, it is all about providing that nurturing support and therapeutic care to allow the placements to work and continue. Slightly out of date, that slide, because just yesterday Kibble opened a nursery, children's nursery, again for young children under 5, obviously, who are experiencing difficulty, or families that are experiencing difficulty, but that has just opened. And this is just an example of those core services I mentioned. So as you can see, we go from residential care, young workforce development, which we'll come on to, and you can see in one of the pictures, which is a large warehouse. That is providing young workforce development training for trades and different parts of education. So we go from that end, from nursery, primary, secondary education, and also secure care. This is just a bit about Kibble wanting to transforming lives, families, and communities. One of the things, the part of that, talking about the communities. So Kibble has always been, since 1859, been centred around the lives of young people and their families and helping them. One of the things that we're doing now is broadening that out to working with communities. And one of the community of Paisley in Renfrewshire, which is just outside Glasgow, is where we're centring, where Kibble is first started and where we're centering this broader support. So this is what we want to talk about, what I want to talk about this morning, the sporting chance. So as you can see, in February, Kibble announced a new partnership with St Mirren Football Club, based in Paisley. That's the stadium, which is 10,000 seat stadium. We spoke to them over a number of years about how we could work together. We worked together, we used space in their stadium for our staff training, providing income for the club, but also an excellent space for the training. St Mirren, because it's a top flight club, it also has a training centre further away, and so what we quite quickly recognised, that it could bring this unrivalled employability, education and training opportunities for the young people at Kibble. It is a groundbreaking partnership, and it is the first partnership of its kind between a charity, a children's charity, and a major professional football club. There are examples in Germany, and I think in Italy as well. Not top flight clubs. St Mirren is a top flight Premier Division football club in Scotland, but there are examples in second and third divisions in both in Italy and Germany where charities and the football club come together. One of the interesting things from a community point of view, this partnership helps to cement the ownership of St Mirren Football Club, because like a number of professional clubs now, fan ownership is taking shape, so that on the 28th of this month, St Mirren will be wholly owned by the fans and supporters of St Mirren Football Club, rather than an individual or company that's only looking to profit. Kibble is helping to do that, and the reason why we want to do that is we see the synergy between Kibble as a large organisation and charity in the Renfrewshire area, along with St Mirren and all its history and its size, and bringing that together to help not just the football club, but the community that the football club and the charity serves, and the community in the surrounding area. One interesting aside to this, where the stadium is located is in an area of Renfrewshire which, according to Scottish Government statistics, is the third poorest area in Scotland. And what we want to do, along with the football club and the local authority and other partners, is use the stadium as a catalyst to drive further economic regeneration for that area and provide jobs, training for the people that live around that stadium, rather than it being sitting there in isolation, simply with a professional team playing on it every week. So, as I said, the basis for Kibble of this partnership is providing the space for Kibble to provide training and employment for young people. This is the picture, obviously, of one of the groundskeepers at St Mirren's Training Centre. But we can use essentially the facilities management of a professional football club, which includes, as you've seen, a stadium, 10,000 seat stadium. We also have, as I keep mentioning, training centre, which is, if you see other training centres of Premier Division clubs, you know, there's a large facility and there's the pitches around that, 3 or 4 pitches around that. So the facilities management of everything that goes from that, from cutting the grass to providing the professional athletes, the players, with food and nutritional value, and as we go forward to providing the food that the corporate hospitality, when on match days, when people are in the stadium and they're having 3 or 4 course meals, it is Kibble that is providing that food, and young people are getting the jobs and training to either become chefs, to learn to work in a kitchen, or to learn how to be a groundskeeper, or to learn how to electrical engineering of a stadium, or other things to do with facilities management. So the 2 key elements are, we can provide training and entry-level jobs that can then allow the young people to move on to other employment opportunities when they leave Kibble, or while they're at Kibble, and they can go on to other employers. As I said, the connection with the community is key to this. St Mirren it's a Premier Division football club, but in financially it's a relatively small organisation, but it has a huge reach because it is a football team, and therefore there's a lot of focus and attention through publicity. And again, we can use that with the local authority to attract more people who are wanting to receive the report. Received support for the families or the young people, but sometimes they don't want to go to the social work department at the council, or they don't want to come directly to Kibble, but they may be attracted to go to St Mirren because they know it as the football team, but it's now providing, as other organisations providing other services. And again, as I said, Kibble is providing the food for St Mirren and also the physical education, the attraction of working with the football team, if I say the glamour of working with a professional football team that's attractive to young people, boys and girls. You can see the difference with the kids at Kibble who are at school at Kibble or living with Kibble when they get to go to either the stadium or the training centre to get the training. And because they're working in that environment and for that organisation, it's more attractive rather than turning up to something that isn't as relevant to them in their lives. And with this focus on food, we'll go on further as we go down this. We're helping the community with food as well, especially during the pandemic in the last 16 months. We've provided and used St Mirren and Kibble facilities to do that. Kibble has a large number of psychologists that work for the organisation who are there to help the young people. But when we started working with St Mirren as a football team, a professional organisation, we're also providing mental health support for St Mirren, for the players, for the staff at St Mirren. We have also, again, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've expanded that safe space to talk to social enterprises and charities across Scotland, and a number of the lads, including Bernardo's Aberlour, have in Scotland have used that or have advertised it to their staff as another safe space for staff who are doing amazing, tremendous amounts of work over the last 16, 17 months, who maybe need that further support. And again, this is a picture that the person in the foreground of the picture doesn't look like it, but that's the St Mirren manager, Jim Goodwin, and that's been taken over the last few months. Kibble and St Mirren working with FareShare, which most of you will know, a large UK charity providing food. So during the almost emergency phase of the initial part of the pandemic, Kibble brought food to different areas, including and then using St Mirren, and then St Mirren and Kibble then distributed that food across the community. This is again part of the pandemic is an emergency or tackling the emergency, but this kind of community action, using Kibble, using the wherewithal of Kibble or the reach, the organisational reach of the charity, using the badge of St Mirren Football Club to provide as I said, somewhere that people want to go, and so we were able to reach further into the community to provide support, whether it's about food or whether it's about jobs, whether it's about training or anything else that the partnership between Kibble and St Mirren will be really key. The partnership, there is another partnership that the local authority created a number of years ago with St Mirren Football Club called Street Stuff, which is initially was a diversionary activity for young people along the lines of street football, and to encourage kids to be doing that rather than getting into trouble or bother elsewhere. And the local authority seen that the engagement rise exponentially when they partnered with St Mirren Football Club. Before the partnership with the football club, it was the council, social work department, police, NHS that set up the diversionary activity. Some kids came along, but they weren't attracted to it because it was the social work department. As soon as St Mirren became involved, it's about football team being part of it, the growth was huge, and that now runs into hundreds, about 100,000 young people over the course of 12 months that are involved in street stuff. Kibble is part of that model now, and that is exactly what we want to do to deliver, not just for Kibble and Kibble's core charitable function of looking after young people who are at risk. And we will be able to do that by using the facilities that St Mirren have, but also then that reach out into the wider community to help the community. So the other part that Kibble brings for St Mirren is Kibble is relatively large children's charity with many years of experience, and it said 700 staff. Of course, most of those staff are day job is looking after the young people, but we also, because of the size of it, we have an HR department, we have a finance department, we have a media department, etc., and we can help bring that size and scope to help St Mirren and to help the club itself grow. And in turn, when the club grows with fan ownership, the community reach of the club will grow, and therefore Kibble will gain out of that, and the young people we're looking after will gain out of that. It should hopefully become a virtuous circle. There is a part of this that we're dealing with a professional football club, so winning on the park is important, but equally important now is how we grow and the sustainability of St Mirren as a community anchor to St Mirren. I think is 10 years older than Kibble as a charity, and they are both within, have been within 2 miles of each other for all those years since 1877. So bringing these two large community anchors together with the public authorities is creating for Kibble support for the young people, for St Mirren support for its services, and importantly as well, we want to grow the community reach to help more and more people in ways that we can't at the moment, but with this partnership we will be able to hopefully service that need. That's me. Thank you very much.